a city manager decided to say racist things, called a person Aunt Jemima, caught on recording. Here it is.
I am here for one reason, to put a face and a voice to what a hardworking, highly educated Black woman truly looks like. I come to dispel the myth. The deeply offensive and racially charged comment made by our city manager, who is in an audio recording, said he would find a 6 foot, 5 feet Black woman from a parish in Louisiana to replace the chief. This was not just a poor attempt at humor. This was harmful, arrogant, and dismissive remark that reduces Black women to caricatures, stereotypes, and political pawns.
The issue is the culture. Jesse, the issue is the culture. Patty, the issue is the culture. Bill, the issue is the culture. Kevin, the issue is the culture. Do you want Mesquite, Nevada to be known as it's the culture to do these types of things?
Well, the city manager said more. We have it. Put them up full mass. This is an interesting and, yes, racist story. The city manager has now been fired over his racist comments during an exposed conversation. Edward Owen Dickie, Edward, the city manager in Mesquite, Nevada, small town north of Las Vegas, was fired by the city council after being caught on tape making racist remarks, secretly recorded by the former police chief that he fired in January. So old Edward had been in political hot water since early April when comments he made in private conversations with the former police chief, MaQuade Chesley, and others surfaced in the Nevada Current. Now keep his picture up. Now, sir, you couldn't tell that fellow was going to snitch on you, sir? Okay. In 2 recordings, old Edward, city manager, said that he told police union officials last year that if MaQuade, who was at the time under investigation himself for alleged threats of misconduct toward the city's police department, that last year, if MaQuade were fired, he'd replace him with a tall Black woman. Early on, I said, guys, I'm going down Louisiana. I'm going back to the back parishes, and I'm going to find me a 6'5" Black woman chief. Dickie's heard saying in one recording, in another recording, he said, I told them I go down Louisiana with the biggest Black Aunt Jemima and just flipping. Whip you guys into shape. After the recordings were leaked, Dickie told 8 News Now. I'm so sorry, y'all. I could just see him talking and saying this to a crowd. So he was being recorded. He didn't know. So Dickie told 8 News Now. Now, him and I at the same time. The gist of what I was trying to say was that maybe the department needs some diversity. Sir, I think that's what you should have said.
Right. Just another way of saying that.
Right. It's just goofies. What are you doing? There's more. He told the Nevada Current, the residents who recorded him were alleging racism against police officers and suggest he hire a Black chief. And he was addressing their concerns. I was telling them, maybe it's an African-American woman, that is qualified, that the city needs. Dickie said of the recorded conversations. Now, sir, obviously you're able to speak code very well. You said it in one way around what you felt to be comfortable individuals for your racial overtones. And then when the news popped up, you utilized all of the correct verbiage. You said African-American, utilized the word diversity. You threw in a couple of SAT words just for good measure. Now, in a third recording, later provided by the former chief, the city manager went ahead and dropped the N-word. while trying to defend his earlier statements. Quote, I didn't say anything like, I hate N-words. I hate Mexican. Dickie can be heard saying, he told the Current that he never used the N-word as a slur and only used it in conversation with Chesley, this is the former chief, to clarify that he never said it in the first place. The city manager said he reported himself to HR once the Aunt Jemima recordings were leaked. Quote, it was a comment I should not have made, and I talked to the city council about it. They will hand down a reprimand, he said on April 8th. Let's go to April 22nd, when the city council aired the issue at its regular meeting. The city manager faced a torrent of criticism from the public and tried to defend himself. It became clear that more than a reprimand was on the table. Quote, I am sorry, those words were not right, Dickie said, his voice shaking, and I do regret it. Quote, I've worked with very many strong women of all colors, and they make excellent leaders. He continued, quote, I just think things I shouldn't say at that time. I just said things I shouldn't say at that time, trying to bring a little humor, poor taste of humor, he continued, adding that the offending comments were made in private and recorded without his knowledge, the Current reported. This is an attempt to smear my name and who I really am, he said. So the former police chief, who is now suing the city for wrongful termination, which the ammunition was given to this former police chief by the city manager, for wrongful termination piled on, quote, I stand against racism, I always have, always will, he told the council. And when it happened in the police department, I brought it forth and I was pushed out. Mr. Dickie, it's time for you to tell the truth, isn't it? Councilman Bill Ennis, who noted he is in an interracial marriage, said that he was offended by the city manager's remarks. As a former Navy officer, he said, quote, I'd fire one of my COs for making half of the comments you made. What he said was awful, end quote. Mayor Jesse Whipple said before the vote, quote, he needs to be punished and reprimanded and possibly terminated, end quote. Whipple and Councilman Paul Wanlas also questioned whether the city manager could be judged by one mistake, which elicited roars of disapproval from the audience. Councilman Kevin Parrish called the episode a PR nightmare for the small city with a tourism-based economy. Quote, the buck stops here, Parrish said shortly before the city council's vote. Quote, being a boss, I cannot accept what he said. He will not be able to get a job in another city. Why should he be city manager here? That's a fascinating point. Finally, common sense applied to the constructs of what seems to be a very complicated problem. He said, if he can't get a job anywhere else as city manager, why is he going to be city manager here? That's real. There is nowhere he could go except for the Trump administration, where he would be hired in a position of people authority. Not right now, not with those comments on the record, and not with the lawsuits pending against the city because of his actions. There's more. Councilman Patty Gallo noted a string of, quote, bad decisions by the city manager, including firing the police chief at the behest of the local union. Quote, it's time for the city to start healing, she said before making the motion to immediately terminate the city manager. The council and mayor voted. It ended up being a 5-1 vote. This is fast and loose. Can seemingly be cloaked in good intentions, but at the same time, the bias is innate, it's there. It seems regulatory. Meaning, yeah, he may say, I want to hire this person, but he has relegated them to a particular mold. And I'm positive he would not have said those words in front of Black colleagues. He said them in front of individuals he assumed were his equals. Do you get what I'm saying? So he talks to them one way about Black folk, and then talks to Black folk in particular another way about themselves. This is bias already. You are a professional. How can you, as city manager, hold anyone accountable when you utilize that kind of language to contextualize diversity in your city? They made the right decision. All right. Jackson, there are some people that we are authentically upset at. There are other people we are just authentically thinking, why the hell did you do that? You simply need to go. To me, this guy, he just needs to go. There's no crime that is taking place, in my opinion, other than the civil lawsuits that he will get a litany of, likely. But other than that, he just can't be city manager.
Yeah, especially in a position like that where he's responsible for a lot of people trusting in his ability to empathize with them first and foremost. Because as the brother pointed out in the clip that we played earlier, the problem is the culture such that he felt comfortable that he could do that in the first place, because this is a very important position he has. It's not like, he's a manager at Starbucks. And even at Starbucks, that would be inappropriate for the culture of the store. So, the stakes are even higher here than some corporate job or some gig that you might work. But at the end of the day, if you're in a position like this, you ought to know that people are listening and that somebody might have an issue with your words, or that you might get found out in some type of way. So, I think that they definitely made the right decision. It's a good example to set. But if you're in a position like this, you can't demonstrate that you think less of people because they're different than you.